And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. We have a lot going on, not just in the shorter term, but some things to talk about coming up here as we head toward the winter solstice. There is a blizzard warning that is now in effect through mid-afternoon Friday along the entire Arctic coast. We're going to have strong polar easterly winds cause considerable blowing and drifting snow that will lead to blizzard or near blizzard conditions at times, especially as we go through tonight into Thursday, lingering at least through Friday morning and early afternoon. There has also been a winter weather advisory issued for areas of the east central interior, especially just on the other side of the Alaska range for later Thursday morning through Friday evening. And this is all because moisture is going to be crossing up over the Alaska range and originate with moisture that's been out over the Gulf that currently is lifting northward. And then we'll see a quick shot of Arctic air scoot across the interior this weekend. Even south central areas will see a bit of a cool down, but the core of it will be moving along the areas on the north side there of the Alaska range and then heading out across Norton Sound into the northern portion of the Bering by later Sunday and early Monday. We have coming up on Friday night the Geminid meteor shower peaks. However, it's only like a day and a half before the full moon this Sunday, and as a result, all that added moonlight makes it more difficult to see the meteors. Plus, this time of year, it's very cold when it's clear. So if you're lucky enough, you might see a few brighter meteors coming up here Friday night and over the weekend. Winter solstice occurs next Saturday on December 21st. Well, it's already underway. FAA webcams out of Deadhorse. There's a blizzard warning in effect there now. The winds are starting to pick up. You can see the blowing snow, 19 degrees. Check this out, though. Nome, partly sunny, 45 as of mid-afternoon. That's just unusually mild. And then Delta Junction, windy, wind gust up 40 miles an hour. You got these lenticular-like clouds. 25 degrees, you're going to have the snow developing in through that area of the Tanana Valley as we go through Thursday morning and afternoon. And then it's just going to be periods of light to moderate snow through Friday afternoon and evening. And Craig, in the southern part of the Panhandle, overcast skies, breezy, a few sprinkles out there, 47 degrees. So sky watchers, the solar activity hasn't been especially, let's say, potent at this time. But there have been reports out of northern Europe, especially once you get above far northern parts of Scandinavia, polar stratospheric clouds. These are the mother of pearl or nacreous clouds. The ones that, like, you take a shell, abalone, and you see the mother of pearl. These clouds are the Earth's second highest clouds. We can see them from Alaska at times, but they've been sighted over northern Europe. So again, keep your eyes peeled, especially if you live up toward and above the Arctic Circle. Geminid meteor shower peaks Friday night, but we have the full cold moon that occurs on Sunday, December 15th. Now, the Geminid meteor shower is one of my favorites. It's in my opinion, the best one of the year. It's better, more prolific than the Perseids of August. However, it's a cold time of year. When skies are clear, it's very cold in December. And if you don't have interference from moonlight or city lights, I've seen 200-300 meteors an hour with the Geminid shower. It's caused by a bit of more unusual object they call a rock comet, Phaethon 3200, if you want to read more about that. But definitely be a few brighter meteors streak across the sky Friday night and over the weekend. You may notice they tend to be more of a bluish green, the fireballs in color, and they're fast moving. So the full cold moon occurs Sunday, December 15th, and then the winter solstice follows next Saturday on December 21st. So here are the hazardous weather situations going on. I'm going to see here which one I want to start with first. I guess we'll go up here. Along the Arctic coast, we have the blizzard warnings from Demarcation Bay, Kaktovik, westward to Point Hope. Some of the strongest winds are going to be in this area east of Utqiagvik and between there and Kaktovik, especially around, say, New Exit, Deadhorse. Some of the winds could gust 60 to 65 miles an hour, but nevertheless, brisk polar easterly winds causing considerable blowing and drifting snow, ground blizzard conditions. So that warning is in effect till 3 p.m. Friday afternoon. Travel just not very unsafe and not feasible there along the Arctic coast through Friday, at least early afternoon. Now here along and north of the Alaska Range, we have moisture right now coming north with a frontal boundary that's weakening, but that moisture is going to hit the colder air, and there's kind of some other stuff going on here, the frontal dynamics that will allow some lift over this region. So the Fairbanks office has issued a winter weather advisory for snow. I would say in a general sense, 3 to 8 inches of snow is likely from, say, midday Thursday until Friday evening. And that includes an area from Tanana eastward through Fairbanks, Fort Greely, Delta Junction, as we go up toward Eagle, 40-mile Gold Country, and some of the areas too along the Alaska Range could pick up significant snowfall. 3 to 8, the general rule, but some of the higher terrain could see a bit more than that. And then south of there, we have this hydrologic outlook just because of the recent melt areas of south central, south of the Alaska Range in the Susitna and Matanuska, Copper River basins, and around the Anchorage Bowl, Kenai Peninsula. We've had mild temperatures early in the week. It's caused some runoff, and now that's causing some ice jam, minor flooding in some of the river and creeks, along some of the rivers and creeks, but nothing major expected. And then we also have the potential for a light mix of precipitation because there's going to be a low that backs up toward the Kenai Peninsula as we go through late tonight and into Thursday morning. Not going to be a lot of precipitation, but there could be a light wintry mix associated with that. So on the satellite imagery, can see here's a front like running right about here. We have a secondary weaker low taking shape. That's going to pull back toward the Kenai Peninsula later tonight and Thursday morning. We have a low pressure located just southwest of St. Matthew Island. That's with this front extending out through the southwestern Gulf back down to the North Pacific. Meanwhile, big high pressure up here in the Arctic Ocean. Pressure gradient increasing here along the Arctic coast. Those polar easterlies, wind gusts 40 to 60 miles an hour possible. That's why we have the blizzard warnings for ground blizzard conditions developing. And then there's a batch of Arctic air that's going to come down here from the Canadian Arctic coast and head southwestward and move quickly across the central interior here for the weekend. So here's what we have on this Wednesday afternoon. Low pressure out there near St. Matthew, 972 millibars. Here's the occluded front. That's like the second or third one. I can't keep count of them anymore. This thing, though, it's allowed temperature to be 45 at Nome. You're getting a little bit of downslope there off the hills north and northeast of Nome, but still 45 and partly sunny and almost mid-December without precipitation. That's pretty impressive. And then coming across through the entrance of Cook Inlet out into the lower Gulf, we have this weaker secondary low, and that low will back up toward the Kenai Peninsula later tonight and on Thursday. That could have with it a little bit of a light mix of precipitation. Also, in the meantime, this moisture is lifting northward along this frontal boundary and up along the stalled trough that's at the Alaska Range. That's going to spill on over into the interior and create that snow on Thursday. So we expect for Thursday morning to have that secondary low back up across Cook Inlet, and then that moisture feed up along and north of the Alaska Range. We'll start to see that snow breaking out, and just periods of light to moderate snow here across the interior, especially along and north of the Alaska Range. There is that backdoor cold front that's going to leading edge of the Arctic air that'll be dropping southwestward as we go through Thursday into Friday, and the bulk of that will swing across the interior Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, we have a pretty strong low out here in the southwest Bering Sea. There's going to be another low that comes in behind that that's actually a little stronger. So by Friday, here's kind of the leading edge of the Arctic air, or reinforcing edge of the Arctic air. It kind of sits down here just north of the Alaska Range, pushing toward the west-southwest. And along here will be a band of accumulating snow. So that's why that area north of the Alaska Range, up through the Tanana Valley, Fairbanks area, is under that winter weather advisory for an extended period of light to moderate accumulating snow. Still have just weak trough low pressure lingering here across the Gulf, and then low pressure out here in the southwest Bering down around 954 millibars. So temperature wise, We've had readings in the 40s, near 40 for lows here in the outer panhandle, a bit below freezing. Juneau on up towards Skagway and Haines. With the increasing cloud covering some of the winds, temperatures will not be as cold along the Arctic coast. Generally high single digits to just above 10 degrees. A few of the cold spots, single digits to near zero, like Tok and Northway, but otherwise, even here along the west coast, lows will dip down in the mid-upper 20s, maybe only near 30 around, say, Dillingham, King Salmon, and Bethel, near or just above freezing, extending out along the eastern Aleutians. For Thursday afternoon, we have the strong easterly winds causing that blowing, drifting snow along the Arctic coast. Highs right between 10 and 15 degrees, kind of holding steady with the wind. Areas of snow breaking out and increasing here along and north of the Alaska Range. Still getting readings back up into the 40s, maybe an isolated 50-degree reading here toward Sitka, Klawak. And then here in south central, still get temperatures back up a little bit above freezing, say around Anchorage and up toward the valley in Talkeetna. And then out toward, extending out along the Alaska Range, temperatures near 40 for high, or I'm sorry, down along the Alaska Peninsula in the eastern Aleutians, temperatures near 40. But come Friday morning, the hints of that colder air coming in from the northeast show up along the Elkhorn border, east side here of the Brooks Range, Yukon Flats. We start to see some negative temperatures. And then readings a bit below freezing here again across the northern panhandle, still a little above freezing in the southern areas. Getting down below freezing across south central, so stuff's going to ice up again. Be careful because walkways, parking lots become very slippery in this kind of pattern. Back to the west, we get below freezing all along the west coast now for a change. And then afternoon highs on Friday will stay below zero here, eastern Brooks Range, Yukon Flats, and that's just a hint of the colder air that'll come on in for Saturday and Sunday. So after we get by that shot of Arctic air that quickly pushes across the mainland interior on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to start to see temperatures rebound later next week, leading up toward the solstice. And we expect temperatures to be above normal, with the greatest likelihood along and south of the Alaska Range. That includes Dillingham, Kodiak, Anchorage, all through the Panhandle. And the thing is, going further beyond that, it's looking pretty likely we could have, with the areas of low pressure that come up out of the Gulf, some of them stronger, could really pull some mild air back into south central areas of the mainland and Panhandle as we get near and just after Christmas. So there's no real change in this upcoming pattern. Just stay tuned, because again, with some of these stronger lows, depending on how the precipitation pattern sets up around it, will determine who gets more in the way of rain or snow or some sort of icy mix. But certainly weather is looking on the milder side than normal here as we go through the latter portion of this month to and past the solstice up to Christmas.